Hello and welcome to another Buzz and Practice video. I am Brad Marshall with Agilix Support. In this video, I'm going to be demonstrating to you how to configure your domain to use Google SSO. In other words, Google Single Sign-On. What Google Single Sign-On allows you to do is it allows your users to log in with their Google credentials, so their G Suite credentials, and access Buzz. This way, they don't need to know their individual Buzz credentials, nor do you need to create them a password for Buzz. And instead, they just log in with their G Suite credentials that they use for other school applications and access Buzz. In addition to showing you how to just configure and set it up so that users can authenticate with their G Suite credentials. So let's get right into it, and I'll walk you through the steps of how to enable G Suite or Google SSO on your domain. So here I am on my domain that I'm going to enable it on. My user space is Google-SSO. I'm going to first go to admin.google.com and log in with my administrator account for my G Suite installation. So here I am logged in as an administrator here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and select Apps on this home screen. From here, I'm going to select the SAML Apps card. So you can see that I currently do not have any SAML apps configured. SAML is a type of authentication method. And I'm going to go ahead and select this plus button to enable SSO for a SAML application. Once this is loaded, I'm going to go and select Set up my own custom app. We can see that Google created these different entities, different information that I will need for my configuration. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to download this Idp metadata. You can see that it's now downloaded. Now I'm going to go ahead and select Next. I'm going to go ahead and name what the application that I'm going to be using G Suite authentication or Google authentication against. In this case, I'm going to name it Buzz because that's what my application is known to my users. Now I can't provide a description, it is optional, and similarly I can upload a file or a logo to represent what this application is that we're logging into. And I'm going to go ahead and choose a Buzz logo that I've downloaded. Now I'm going to go ahead and select Next. Now here I have several information I'm supposed to copy in or paste in. Now I can find out the exact information I'm supposed to be using by going to the service provider, that being Buzz, to our metadata. However, in the article, How to Set Up Google SSO for My Domain, we do provide the URLs that you can use there. So in my particular case, I'm going to be pasting in several different URLs and just swapping out the information that I need. So this is the first URL, which is https://api.agilixbuzz.com/saml/user space. Now this is the user space for your domain. My domain's user space is Google SSO. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. And I'm going to replace that user space with my user space /consumer. Now I have the entity ID where I need to provide the entity ID for Buzz as well. A similar process, I need to replace the user space with the user space that I'll actually be using. And then I need to tell Google, and this is optional, where I want to start the users off. Actually, this is for if they are launching the application from their G Suite instance. And so in my particular case, my Buzz instance is at .agilixbuzz.com, and so I'm going to go ahead and replace this with the user space that I want the users to go to. So it is Google-SSO. This is just my case. Yours may be school or maybe another domain user space. So Google SSO is just in this case this example that I am using. Now that I've done all of this, I'm going to leave everything else as default. So we can see that the name ID is basic information, primary email, etc. So I'm going to go ahead and select Next. And I'm going to go ahead and select Finish. Alright, so it's telling me that I'll need to upload my Google IDP data, on the Buzz administration panel to complete the SAML configuration process. And we'll get to those steps here in a moment. So I'm going to go ahead and select OK. And this is going to reload, and now we can see that this application has been enabled. Now the first thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and edit the service, because we can see that it is off for everyone right now. Now for everyone, what this means is this is every one of your G Suite users it's off for. So I want to make this available to my G Suite users. And I'm going to select Save. Okay, so now that it is enabled for all users in the G Suite, all my G Suite users are my Google users, let's go ahead and open up Buzz. Now that Buzz is open, I'm going to go to the More menu on my Domain tab. So I'm on the Domain tab, I'm going to go to my More menu, and I'm going to go to Domain Settings. Underneath the authentication card, I'm going to go ahead and change from Buzz to SAML. We have a couple of different options here. We can say what is your signature algorithm. We're going to leave it on SHA 256, so it's a higher level of security. We're supposed to upload an Idp-Meta XML file. And then you have these two additional options. If you want to prevent users from using Buzz credentials, that means no longer let them log anyone, select the More option and log in with their Buzz credentials. You have that option. I'm not going to do it for my example. And then open login in a new window. I am going to select this, and the reason why I'm selecting this is because Google does not allow you to load their authentication thing within your own windows. And so I need to have it open up in a new window so that people can authenticate with Google and then get redirected back into Buzz. Now I need to upload an idp-meta.xml file. Well, this is the file that I downloaded from Google. However, we do have one slight problem. The file name that they provide us with is a different format than the name Buzz wants. Buzz wants it to be named idp-meta.xml. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up in the Finder so we can see it's here. And I'm going to go ahead and rename this file. idp-meta. Let's see if I named that correctly. I did. idp-meta.xml, idp-meta.xml. Perfect. Now I'm going to go and select the Upload Resource button. And I'm going to go and find that file and select it and open it. And I'm going to press Upload and select Save. So right now, my domain is configured for Google SSO through the SAML authentication method. I can test this out by logging out and logging back in, but before I do that, I want to show you who we are going to be authenticating as. So we can see that we have two different users here. We have a Daniel Rand admin user, and then we have a Daniel Rand student user. Now if you remember or recall, we left the settings in the Google SSO to be sort of the default settings. Specifically, if we come back here, and if we go back to, let me go back one more step and look at my Buzz app. Let me go ahead and select it, go into it, and then select my service provider details. And we can see that the default name ID, basic information, is the primary email address. What that means is that Google's going to send to Buzz the user's Google email address as their authentication method to Buzz. Well, one of my users has a username set up as their email address or their Google email address. So right now, when I authenticate, I'm going to be logging in as the user with the username that has the email address daniel.rand@exiliga.com. Now this is only going to be this person, or it's only going to authenticate me as this person because his username is my email address. Not email, but the username is the email address. So let me go ahead and log out and show you what this looks like. So I'm logged out. I need to refresh the page to get to the new settings. Let me go and click close. And we can see that I had a pop-up blocker. I'm in incognito, so it doesn't remember anything that I previously allowed. So I'm going to say, hey, you know what, always allow pop-ups and redirects from agilixbuzz.com, and I'm going to go ahead and press done. Let me refresh the page and see if it handles it a little bit better. Alright, so I'm selecting login, and you can see it just automatically redirected me back into Buzz. Now the reason why I did this is because I have already authenticated into Google, and I only am logged in with one Google account right now, so it automatically tries to make it a little bit smarter and a little bit easier, and it just sent me directly into Buzz with my Google credentials. I didn't have to enter in my Buzz credentials or anything like that. And it signed me in as Daniel Rand admin. Now if we go back here and we'll look at here, we can see, hey, both of them have the same email address, but only one of them has a username with their Google email address. And that's the reason why I authenticated me as this user, the Daniel Rand admin. So we can see that the authentication works, and we are done if that's all that you want to do. But let's say you have a different kind of user. So let me actually just change this completely. I'm going to go and update this user, remove their email address completely. And let's go back to users, and let's say, hey, you know what? I don't want them to authenticate into Buzz by their email address. Now they're going to be entering in the credentials of their email address when they authenticate, but let's say I don't want to share the email address with Buzz. I don't want Buzz to have the user's email address. I want Buzz to have the user's SIS ID, for example. So let's say this user's username is 123456, and that's their Buzz username, not their Google username, but their Buzz username is 123456. And let's say that's their SIS ID. And so what I can do is I can have it so that when users authenticate into Buzz, they enter in their Google credentials, which is their username and password, but I want them to get into the system based upon what is their SIS ID. Now to do that, I need to go and change some things in Google. So let me come back to Google, and I'm going to go to my home page, and I'm going to go over to users. So I'm here on users. Now we can see a couple of different things. We can see that we have some information, we have several users in this system. Let me go ahead and create some custom attributes. Now we will see that we have this custom attribute down here called Buzz username. So what is the Buzz username? Well, this could be anything different as well. So let me go and actually just delete this completely and start from scratch. So I'm going to add a custom attribute, and I'm going to give it a category of Buzz, and I'm going to call it SIS ID. And then we can say, what is this? And we can say, is it a number? Is it text? I'm just going to go with text. Visibility, let's say this is visible to the admin only. And then this is just a single value. We only can enter in a single value for this SIS ID. So I'm going to go and press add here, and we can see that we have this Buzz SIS ID here now. So I'm going to come back to users, and I'm going to edit one of these users. Now the user I want to edit is this Daniel Rand user. I'm going to come into this user, select in here in user information for user details, and we can see that, hey, you know what? We now have this new value here for this user called Buzz SIS ID. So I can add an SIS ID for this user. And say this user's SIS ID is 123456. Press save. So Daniel Rand now has an SIS ID as 123456 that I'm storing in Google. Now if I come back to the home page, and just to show you here, so this Buzz user was created with their SIS ID as their username. Now I'm going to come back to Google, and I'm going to go to the apps and go open up my SAML app again. Let me open up the SAML app, and I'm going to open up the service provider details. And now I want to change the information that is passed from Google to Buzz to authenticate that user. I don't want their primary email address to be the thing that's passing to Buzz, because I'm not storing the primary email address for the user's username anymore in Buzz. I'm storing their SIS ID. So I need to change this from basic information to Buzz and change it to SIS ID. So now whenever someone authenticates into Buzz, Google's going to say, hey, this user's SIS ID, this is this user's SIS ID, log them in as the person with that username in Buzz. So I'm going to go and press save. Okay, now that's saved. I can come back here, and now you can see that I'm currently logged in as admin. The reason why is because the previous settings was saying log in a user with the email address as their username. Now I'm saying with their SIS ID as their username. So I'm going to log out and log back in, and we'll see that I'll log in as Daniel Rand student. So I'm logging out. Let's go ahead and close that, and I'm going to select login again. And we can see here, now I'm logged in as Daniel Rand student. And the reason why is because I told Google to authenticate the user with the SIS ID 123456. Buzz says, oh, here's this user with the username 123456, let them in, and now you can access the system just as that user. So that's it. I showed you how to set up Google SSO, which makes it easier for users. One less credential they need to memorize, but you can also configure it so that, oh, maybe I don't want them to be accessing Buzz, or I don't want to store their email address in Buzz as their username, or maybe I've already set them up in Buzz with their SIS ID, and so I'm going to add that to their Google user and allowing them to access the system with their SIS ID. And so I hope this has been helpful for you. Please don't hesitate if you have any questions. Once again, SSO just makes it easier for users to have one less credential to memorize and something that they may already be logged in as. For example, on their Google Chromebooks, they're already logged in with their G Suite account. And so now just makes it a little bit more seamless for them to be able to access Buzz and to learn and to teach. Thank you so much.